Hello everyone, welcome back. It's fantastic to be here with you again. How are you doing? In this lesson, we're going to talk about prepositions in, on, at in relation to place or location. With these prepositions, there are some rules for how to use them, but they are not always clear. So it's better to also remember the phrases that we use with the prepositions. And I will go through those with you. And if you stay till the end of the video, I will explain some points that students find confusing when using at, in, or on. But basically, in is more general and larger. On is still general, but not as large. And at is used for more specific locations or points, and usually smaller in size. And if you want to watch my video about the prepositions in, on, or at with time, then I will put a link below when it becomes available. First, let's look at in. And this is used when we talk about areas within a particular area, or a shape within a shape, or when something is surrounded by something, so in. And we can use in with continents, so in North America, in Europe, in Asia, in Oceania, in Africa, in South America. There are many countries in Europe. I lived in Asia for a while. It can be used with countries, so in Sweden, in Turkey, in Peru, in South Africa. The food in India is amazing. I went trekking in Pakistan. It can be used with regions, so in Southeast Asia, in southern Canada, in the north of Malaysia, in the country, or in the countryside as well. I grew up in the country, or I grew up in the countryside. That is actually true. They love the people in Southeast Asia. They are very nice and really friendly. It can be used with states, prefectures, provinces, and counties. So the areas within countries. So in Victoria, in California, in Hokkaido, in Ontario, in Cornwall, for example. Potatoes are grown in Idaho. I think Idaho is very famous for potatoes. A lot of people go skiing in Nagano. If you like skiing, it's a very beautiful area. Perfect for skiing. It can be used with cities, towns, villages, or other areas. So in New York, in Sydney, in Phnom Penh, in Kandy, in Mamasa. Very beautiful area of Sulawesi in Indonesia. The Statue of Liberty is in New York. She was in Bangkok last year. It can be used for neighborhoods. So in Manhattan, in Santa Monica, in Camden. There are a lot of markets in Camden. The beach is very popular in Glenelg. It can be used with enclosed spaces, so within an area that is enclosed. So in a box, in a car, in a taxi, in a truck, in a building, in an office, in a book, in a newspaper, or in the newspaper, or the paper, in a magazine, in a newsletter, in the fridge or in our fridge, in a pocket, in a cup, in a cupboard, in a drawer, or with rooms, in a kitchen, in a basement. That can be a tricky one sometimes. He was in the car with the radio on. She's reading an article in the paper. There's some fruit in the fridge, in the kitchen. Ooh, 2 times. It can be used with water or bodies of water. So in a lake, in a river, in the ocean, in the sea, in a bath, in a shower, or in a pool. I was in the shower when the phone rang. We went swimming in the river. It can be used with other liquids too. So in soup, in sauce, in tea, in coffee. There's a fly in my soup. Actually, I think this is a famous quote. Waiter, there's a fly in my soup. Do you have milk in your coffee? How do you like your milk? How do you like your milk? How do you like your coffee? With milk, with sugar? Do you have milk in it? Do you have sugar in it? It can be used with locations. So in the center, in the middle, in a line, in a queue. I was waiting in the queue for an hour. Or in the line. I was waiting in the line for an hour. The cat was in the middle of the road. It can also be used when people join together. So, for example, in a team or in a group, they are in a team of 6. We put them in a group so they could work together. Now, let's look at on. We use on with positions, with surfaces, and with the edges of things. Of course, this includes streets, avenues, roads, etc. So on Broadway, on 2nd Avenue, on Sunset Boulevard, famous in Los Angeles, or on the corner of 2nd Avenue and 31st Street. We can use it with corners as well. My apartment was on 1st Avenue. It was actually in New York. The company is on West Street. His shop is on the corner of John Street and Green Road. And we can use on when we talk about on the edge of water. So we have the water here, here's the edge and the land. So it could be on a river, on a lake, on the coast, on a strait, on the ocean, on the sea, etc. So on the Thames, on Lake Michigan, on the Caspian Sea. Your new office is on the Bosporus, so a very famous strait in Istanbul. Their home was on the Amalfi Coast, very beautiful coast in Italy. So that was on the edge of some water. Now we can also say on to mean on the surface of the water, to be floating on the water. The Mekong Delta is famous for its floating markets on the river. There were several fishing boats on the lake, so floating on the lake. And on can be used with other surfaces as well, so on top of something. So on the ground, on the earth, on a bicycle, on a motorbike, on the table, on the paper, or on the piece of paper. You could say something is on food, so pepper on the steak. On the beach, or we can use on top of something, or on the side of something. Also on the bottom, actually. The bottom is a surface, on the bottom of something. I found $10 on the ground, on the ground. We sat on the beach. The pizza had a lot of cheese on it. What did you write on the paper? So note this time we're talking about a sheet of paper. If you mean paper, like a report, a document that has many pages, you would say in the paper. He was on a motorbike when I saw him. It can be used with floors of a building, for example, on the 1st floor, on the 2nd floor, etc. The shop is on the 5th floor. Our hotel room was on the 17th floor. And with vehicles, it can be used with mass transportation, mass transit, or also rides at an amusement park. So on a bus, on a plane, on a ship, on a train, on a roller coaster. He always reads on the train. I went on a ship for the first time last week. She loves going on the roller coasters at Disneyland. How about you? What are your favorite rides at amusement parks? What do you love going on? On can also be used with forms of communication. So on TV, on the radio, on the internet, on YouTube, of course. Did you see that cool video on YouTube? I heard a fantastic song on the radio last night. It can be used with directions or locations. So on the left, on the right, on the east side. So turn left here, you'll see it on the left. It's on the east side of the city. It can be used to talk about belonging to a group. So on a team, on a committee, on a board of a company. He's joining us on the team this year. There are 3 people on the committee. Now let's look at And we use at with specific places or locations. Some specific places would be at the office, at the Hilton Hotel, at the shop, at the swimming center, at school, at the station, at work, at the library, at the beach, at my house. Let's meet at the station. Let's meet at Shinjuku Station. We stayed at the Sheraton Hotel. I thought she was at school today. And with specific locations, so at the start, at the beginning, at the end, at the corner of 5th Avenue and 31st Street. So notice before we used on, but we can also use at. She was standing at the corner of Parkway and Smith Street. My house is at the end of the street. It can be used with specific addresses. She lives at 36 Westbrook Lane. Their offices are at 10 Electric Avenue. And it can be used with directions, so turn left at the park, or go left at the shopping mall, turn right at the traffic lights. It can be used with events too, so at a movie, at a conference, at a musical, at a party. We met at a conference last year. She was at a movie and her phone rang. Remember, turn your phone off when you go to a movie. That's it for the details. Now let's just have a quick review of in, on, at. So just the basic ideas. So we use at with a specific point or place. On, so location along something or in relation to an edge or a surface of something. And in is an area or surrounded by something or within something, inside of. Okay, here are some sentences that use the different prepositions. I was at a party when I saw her at a table in the kitchen. He was living in Melbourne, in Victoria, on the southeast coast of Australia. We stayed at a wonderful hotel on the 22nd floor in Saigon. Now let's look at some points that a lot of students find difficult to understand. Maybe you are one of them. For example, with car, we can say at the car, in the car, on the car, but they have different meanings. I'll wait for you at the car. So that means next to the car. There was a bird sitting on the car. This time on top of the car, so outside of the car, on top of the car. She was listening to music in the car, so inside the car. So she might have been driving or with her friend or someone. Now also in the office or at the office. Now in the office is more general, so inside of the building. At the office is more specific or usually for a specific purpose, maybe working, for example. But don't worry too much. This is not so strict. She was in the office when the alarm went off, so she was inside of the office. Or he works at the office on Tuesdays. Or with hotels, we can use stay in or stay at a hotel. Either one is okay, but I would usually use stay at a hotel. So like with office, in a hotel really means inside of the hotel. But again, this is not so strict. So I stayed in the Four Seasons for a week. I stayed at the Four Seasons for a week. Either one is okay, but I prefer I stayed at the Four Seasons for a week. There's also in a team or on a team. So in a team is used when the team is formed for a specific purpose. On a team is used with an existing team. I was on the football team for a year. The team was already formed and I joined that team. Now, I already mentioned on the corner, at the corner. Either one is okay, but again, my preferences would be the electronics store is on the corner, so it's along the street or streets. The electronics store is at the corner of Main Street and 2nd Avenue, so it's a specific location. But again, it's not so strict. But note, you can also use corner when you're talking about a room. So the TV is in the corner. It's in the corner of the living room. because it's surrounded by walls and the ceiling and the floor. Now there's in school or at school. So usually in school means you are studying in school. So it's like you are a student, you're studying in school. Or at school, at the location. Right now you are at school. So the physical location, at school. He's in school, he's a student. He's at school, so right now he's at school. The physical location. There's also at the beach or on the beach. So at the beach is the general location, sort of near the beach, or it could be on the beach as well. On the beach is physically on the sand. So on the surface of the beach. We had dinner at the beach. So this is the general location of the beach. It could have been at a restaurant next to the beach. We had dinner on the beach. So physically on the surface of the sand, we sat on the beach and ate some dinner. There's also at the bridge or on the bridge. So at the bridge will be a specific location, maybe at the end of the bridge, at the beginning of the bridge. Whereas on the bridge would be along the bridge somewhere. So let's meet on the bridge. So along the bridge, anywhere along the bridge. Or let's meet at the bridge, at the beginning of the bridge, at the points, the beginning or the end. There's also on a floor. So on the second floor, on the third floor, but we say in the basement. The basement is also a floor of a building. But we imagine the basement to be a room, so we use in the basement. The store is on the 6th floor, or the store is in the basement. We've finished another lesson. You were all so wonderful for sticking with the video, and I really hope you learnt something and you had some fun too. If you have any questions, comments, let me know below, and I hope to see you in the next video. See you next time.